quickly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Kelvin Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have to say, Mr. Speaker, that this issue really brusses me off. You know, to go online and to see, download the video and to see a half an hour long video of fishermen hauling in fish and throwing hundreds, if not thousands of fish over the side into the water that dead, just absolutely makes my blood boil. You see, I'm a keen recreational fisherman, Mr. Speaker. That's an intergenerational attribute. My grandfather was a keen fisherman, my mother, my father-in-law on my wife's side, he was a keen fisherman. My brothers and brothers-in-law are all keen fishermen, myself and now even my son are keen fishermen. But here's the thing, is we play by the rules. Now when we go fishing up north, we can go, I've got a boat, we go out fishing on the boat. I've got a net, we can go out to 90 Mile Beach and we can net for mullet. We've got flounder spears, we go out at night with the lights and spear flounders. We've got a long line, I've got a kite. You set it out and you put on your 25 hooks and let it blow out to sea and it comes back in and hopefully you've got a catch for the day. My son and I, we go right up to the end of 90 Mile Beach and we camp overnight and we fish together. It's something that we love to do, so it just makes my blood boil that people like myself and all the other thousands of recreational fishermen and women who play by the rules, who will get penalised and potentially prosecuted if we get a 29 centimetre snapper instead of a 30 centimetre snapper. If we get 8 snapper instead of 7 snapper, we have the potential of the law and most probably will get the law thrown at us. We just need to watch that documentary Coastline where the honorary fisheries officers are going around the coastline and pulling up people for having 200 pippies in their bucket instead of 150 pippies in their bucket. All us little people will get the book thrown at us, but we can go online and we can see commercial fishermen throwing thousands and thousands and thousands of fish overseas, tons of fish overboard, and what happens to them? Absolutely nothing. I thought this government was the government that was tough on crime. Well, let me tell you that it is a crime to throw fish overboard and what happens to them? Nothing. Why is that? Because those commercial fishermen are the mates of this government. Mr. Speaker, just imagine how many people that could feed, all that fish could feed. I was brought up to not waste a single skerrit of the fish. You eat the heads, you eat the eyeballs, you save the backbones and you fry them up the next day. I haven't gone so far, I have to admit, as to what my uncle does, and when he catches a snapper, he just cuts it open and takes the liver out and eats it raw on the spot. I haven't actually graduated to that level of yet, but the fact of the matter is if you could make the scales palatable, you would probably be eating those as well. We don't waste anything, and yet we look at the amount of wastage that we're seeing in these videos, and these people have been able to do it. 6 boats or 6 companies were investigated, and what happened to them? 5 of them were seen to be throwing fish overboard. Nothing happened to them whatsoever. What evidence do we need that something's wrong there? We just need to look at the video footage, the video evidence, and make a decision based on that. But instead, we've had a report that comes out and it says the Ministry for Primary Industries accepts it made flawed decisions in deciding not to prosecute fishing boat skippers. I say it wasn't flawed, I say it was downright dumb. Absolutely stupid, because what happens if somebody gets away with doing this sort of thing and they're not held to account? Then it's just an incentive to do it again. The minister stands here and he says, oh look, I've told the industry to pull up their socks. You know, that's an intimidating threat, isn't it? I mean, I was a school principal, a school teacher for 20 years, and when I told kids to pull up their socks, that was an invitation for them just to keep their socks down. And that's what the fishing industry is doing. It's very interesting to see that Martin Dunn, the Director General of Fisheries, dumped the report on a Friday, and that very same day said it was time to move on. Well, time for her to move on. You know, just sweep it under the carpet and pretend that this didn't happen, that's wrong. These people need to be held to account. They need to know that it's unacceptable to be just dumping fish overboard. Actually, I remember the day myself and 3 mates, we jumped in our boat. We went out to fishing out on the east coast in Doubtless Bay from Monganui. We go out a couple of k's, throw the anchor in, sitting there enjoying the sun, enjoying the fishing with our 4 lines over the side, and then my mate goes, "Oh, there's a dead fish." We looked over. Oh, so there's a little snapper, belly up, just drifting past us. And then we go, "Oh, there's another one. There's another one." And then we looked around, and drifting in past us was probably a couple of acres of dead snapper, just drifting by, floating past us. We thought, okay, it was actually the time when all those algal blooms were going on. We thought, oh, maybe these fish have died. But it was interesting that it was only small snapper. No other species were floating by us. I wonder now whether some fishing boat fishing out off the east coast of the North Island, off Northland there, had in fact realised they've got all these these basically goldfish. And so instead of, they basically just dumped them and let them float, hoping that they might float out to sea. Unfortunately, the wind and the tides worked against them, and they floated back towards land where we saw them. You know, thousands and thousands of fish being wasted. We were sitting there not getting a bite, not a skerrit of a bite, and we wondered why. And that's because some fishing vessel has probably been passed, whipped up all the fish. There's nothing left for the recreational fishers. While I'm on it, here's an issue that absolutely drives us mad up north. And it's particularly around the time of the Snapper Classic in March up on 90 Mile Beach, where 1,000 recreational fishermen come by. You can almost guarantee that a week to the day before that fishing competition happens, there'll be these commercial fishermen coming in at night. People can hear, on the beach, can actually hear the crew talking while they go past and dredge up all the fish. So basically, if you actually catch a snapper in the Snapper Classic in the March, you're pretty lucky, because the commercial fishermen have been coming in to within a kilometre of the coastline, catching up all the fish before the recreational fishermen have an opportunity to have a crack at it. So it's the recreational fishermen and women that are actually having to pay for the fact that commercial fishermen are able to absolutely go out and rape and pillage the resource, dump the ones the fish that they don't want overseas, overboard I should say, dump them overboard, and then we are sort of threatened. I read something just within the last couple of weeks, Mr. Speaker, where there's talk about perhaps we do have to drop the recreational fishing catch down again. In 1986 it was 30. Yeah, well, 30 is a bit excessive. You don't need 30 fish to feed your family. Now it's 7 up north, and they're talking about maybe we have to look at a catch of 2. You know, my son and his 3 friends went out, as you do up north. They went out a couple of weekends ago at night with the long line. So 4 17-year-old teenagers put out the torpedo, 25 hooks. They pulled it in. They had 12 fish. That's 3 per person. And what we do up north, of course, is you take the fish home, and what you don't eat, you give to the neighbours or the aunties and uncles and the friends. So it never ever goes to waste. But what is happening, if the catch was reduced to 2, those 4 teenagers would have actually have broken the law by catching 12 fish, because if the catch had been reduced to 2, as has been contemplated in the article I read, they would have overcaught by 4 fish. Our way of life up north has been, and our way of life around the country, your right to go out and catch a feed for your family is jeopardised, not because we're overfishing as recreational fishers, but because these commercial guys are able to go out, fill up their nets, chuck away what they don't want, keep the other ones. I saw on that video that they were catching dogfish. Dogfish is absolutely beautiful to eat. My son and I, when we've been up the beach, we've pulled in a dogfish, filleted it on the spot, cooked it up for breakfast and butter. It's absolutely beautiful. I saw these dogfish just being chucked over the side, and what an absolute waste. The commercial fishermen, they're the people that need to be held to account. They should have been held to account. They should have been prosecuted. Thank you.